PJ, to the Darkening of Mirkwood. This is session number 127.
I assume you are recording.
I am recording so that other players can live vicariously through the giant avalanche of unforeseen consequences in which you are about to find yourself caught. When last we left our hero, having returned at last from the successful battle with the Morwen, Balder decided not to rest with his companions at the halls of the Elven King. He had too much on his mind, and he was perhaps even a little afraid that he had been remiss in his promise to Ulfgar to keep Hana safe. In any event, he decided to press on to Lake Town in the hopes of meeting with his lady love. Arriving in the merchant's district, he found Ulfgar's great mansion burned to the ground, and no Hana in sight. A brief interview with the guard Captain Berger yielded no clues or hopes as to Hana's whereabouts. He was just on the verge of despairing as he picked through the charred ruins of the mansion when he was accosted by a hunched, scarred figure in a dark cloak. This figure, who also had a pronounced limp, claimed to have rescued Hana from the flames and promised to lead Balder to where he could meet her. Following the hunched figure down below the streets of Lake Town, Balder was attacked from behind by the figure, who revealed himself to be at least half orc. After a brief battle, Balder was subdued, plunged into the freezing waters of the long lake. When he awoke again, he found himself bound in a rude hut, staring down a number of evil-looking men and orcs. And at the far end of the room, he saw her, Hana. And that is where we will be picking up tonight.
So, how many of them are in here?
There is Hofni, the half-orc, who betrayed you. There are two men who look to be Easterlings, by the look of them. Both of them are dressed in kind of very rugged, sturdy-looking green and brown, kind of rustic colors. You'd guess hunters by their garb. Then there is a very large, very surly-looking orc, probably about a head shorter than the other three. He is kind of has a pronounced underbite, but he's very thick about the shoulders and chest. And he's kind of standing there eyeing you, picking his teeth with a long, black, jagged knife. There is also Hana, who is standing here, bound, wrists in front of her, and gagged.
That answers one question. So there's 4 of them.
4 of them. You are also bound. You've recovered some of your endurance. I think your endurance is at 20, but you have wounds that have not been properly treated from your battle with Hofni.
So you moved my endurance up.
I did.
Okay.
So,
Am I still wearing my coat of mail?
your armor and all of your gear has been removed.
Okay, so technically my encumbrance right now is at 0.
That's correct.
What is there, how many entrances is in this hut?
There is one door, a very small window that you probably couldn't fit through, and then there's a door on the other side of the orc.
So, from what I can tell, 2 main entrances. What kind of building is this like?
It appears to be a small hut made of rough-hewn timber. You would guess, it looks very sturdy. It is quite small, and it is very dirty. There's just filth everywhere here. So you would guess it's either the orc's hut or the half-orcs, because you can't actually see a human living in these conditions.
So it's
Hana herself is also covered in filth and numerous small scratches and bruises. It looks like she's probably been in here for a while.
So it's a dirt floor then.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any torches?
No, there's a faint gray twilight kind of filtering in through the window, but it's quite dark in here.
Okay, so I guess besides the hut itself, there isn't really anything flammable.
Not that you can see, and you don't know exactly where you are, but the air is extremely damp.
Okay.
All right then. Well, so glad to see that you rejoined us.
Hofni kind of leans over you leeringly.
Now then, you mentioned that you slew the Dark Lady. I would very much like to learn more about that.
I assume he has ungagged me.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna assume you know that she was that I guess she had joined with the Great Vampire. I also want to roll insight as to see.
Give me an insight roll.
That's not going to good.
So,
Yes. Did you go alone, or were you with a group?
With a group.
And who else might have been in this group?
What does Warsong like physical features look like? Like as far as hair and eyes. Along
well,
with
she's got that picture.
I do. Isn't it like light brown? Like
Looks like her hair is, pulling up her character sheet, is blonde.
okay. Is Kelly Mayer supposed to look like what's in the picture too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't remember describe what Margie looks like. A blonde warrior from the Woodmen. A stout dwarf, the last of his kind. A red-headed elf with a sword that strikes fear in all who see it. And a man who follows his master lord.
I think you may have misunderstood. You see, I'm mainly interested in their names.
He pulls a long dagger out of its sheath and kind of holds it up to the gray light coming in through the window. The whole thing is jet black except for the edge itself, which looks like a curving ribbon of silver in the gray twilight.
If you should prove uncommunicative, I'm sure we could think of some way to loosen your tongue.
He um he glances over at Hana and continues on. Margit is one. What does Ongi call himself?
Ongi. We met Ongi.
No, what is? Oh yes, troll tosser.
Oh, that's right.
The dwarf goes by troll tosser.
Give me a riddle roll.
Well, hold on. That's 11. I guess seeing that I'm not in a fellowship, I don't have a
You have.
fellowship.
You do not. You do not. This is what happens when you go off by yourself.
I'm gonna spend a point of hope, and that'll get me past the 14.
All right. Let us see if that is enough to fool Hofni.
I believe that brings me up to a 15.
He kind of straightens a bit, grins at you on one side of his face. The other half of his face is just like horribly scarred and burned. And he walks over to Hana, and he takes the dagger and he jams it into her thigh and starts pulling it slowly downward. And you see her face is just pale white, sweat breaking out. She's gagged, she can't say anything, but she's whimpering in pain.
I don't think you understood. We have ways of loosening your tongue. Now, the name of this dwarf.
And I need you to make a corruption test as you see Hana tortured. Okay.
Ongi.
Yeah. Mirkwood and Anyi and the others. You mentioned others.
He pulls the knife out, and you see her. She sort of stumbles forward, but she's being held up by the orc's huge ape-like hands.
Kelly Mireth.
Yes. Kalimir
Warsaw.
and Warsaw. Very good. Very good. Well, now that you've turned traitor on your friends, it will not be too difficult, I think, to track them down. People of this sort don't usually go to very great lengths to keep things quiet. So, the real question is, what do we do with the filthy, pale-skinned humans now?
I think,
Says the orc.
I think we ought to flay them alive and eat them right here and now. And seeing as it's my hut, I think that's what we're gonna do.
And he pulls a knife out of his belt and
Wait.
draws it up to...
Wait.
I believe, says one of these Easterlings, I believe your food is speaking, Radmus. He comes and leans over you. What is it, little man?
You don't exactly know where these people are.
Oh, my brother and I are very resourceful hunters. However, if you have any word of where we might be able to find them, it may buy you and your lady friend here a few more moments of peaceful existence.
Let Hana go, and I can lead them to you. And can I use trading in this instance?
No, you're gonna have to roll for this, bud. Give me a persuasion roll. It's an interesting proposal.
I think I still say we should eat them now.
Not so fast, Raktus. Not so fast. He has an interesting point. It will take some time for the vengeance of the Dark Tower to descend upon his friends. He could, of course, lead them here.
Indeed, Hofni, I have been... the other Easterling who hasn't spoken yet says, indeed, I've been giving this idea some thought. Perhaps the pale skin has the right idea. What is needed is a bit of bait. He suggests we to let the young woman go. Let the young woman go, and he will lead his friends to us. Clearly, one who has already slain the Dark Lady cannot be trusted in such matters. So I have a counter proposal. Radmus, you boast of being a great hunter with your pack of dogs.
They are walks.
Yes. Do you not think that this young lady, and perhaps even this would-be monster slayer, would not provide excellent sport? Rest assured, my friend, you will lead your companions back to us. Whether it is with your blood-stained corpse, that is up to you.
What are you getting at, Margles? Try and speak a bit plainer. I would propose a game. I hear you orcs like to play with your food, yes? Let us release the humans, the Northmen, into the marsh. And then we will have a little contest between Radmus and his wolves, my brother and I, the greatest hunters the northern world has ever known. And he pokes your chest. This would-be monster hunter. If he can escape to his friends, he earns his freedom. However, whoever catches him and his lady friend can do with both of them as they please. What say you, Radmus?
Seems fair enough. But if I catch 'em before you do, I'm gonna eat 'em both, starting with the pretty one.
Yes, and if we catch them before you do, then we will make a message out of the skin of this one, and we will keep the pretty one for ourselves.
Yeah, I always did like a good game.
Hana is just crying and sobbing at this point, trying to keep it together, but it looks like she's been here probably several weeks, and she's underfed, she's malnourished, she's got several wounds that haven't healed properly, and she's just kind of sobbing through her gag.
Okay, so from what I'm getting, her and I out in the marshes, and then they're going to hunt us. Is that correct?
Is it?
Am I going to have to roll insight for this?
That is, you are understanding correctly.
Okay, in the marshes. Is the mouth? Okay. Where are the marshes at? Aren't they like straight south?
It depends on which marshes he's talking about.
Is there something? Is there something I can roll to make me think that it'll be the long marshes?
From inside the hut, you have no way of telling.
She's wounded. She just took a stab into the eye. So it's already going to be hard enough for her to run. It was in Golden Fields that we ran across the feral hobbits, wasn't it?
The Gladden Fields, yeah.
Or Golden Fields. Is there marshes in the East Bight too?
You can give me a travel roll to see if you know. Or lore.
Whoops. Have I been through there before as Boulder? No, I haven't. I don't think so.
Should just be knowledge, your knowledge of the region.
I was through there with my last character. Oh, goodness. Said travel.
or lore.
Okay, well, we're going with travel because I have nothing anymore. Okay, that's not for spending.
Okay. Yeah. Hard to say. You're thinking about all the marshy places you've ever been. Part of it would depend on how long you were unconscious, which you don't know the answer to.
So, Easterlings and 2 orcs. And then Hana. Does it seem like they were only interested in the names? Did they actually take, I knew they took my proposal seriously, but if I was to play with it a little more, would it look like I could get a little more leverage?
Give me an insight roll.
Oh, come on. Oh, man. I'm gonna spend hope for that.
All right.
That's
An extraordinary success.
yes, that's an extraordinary success.
You get the sense that the orc is extremely bored and would, if it was up to him, he would just eat you. He doesn't really seem to care long term. Hofni, the half orc who beat you up, brought you here, seems more interested in your companions and information about them. The Easterling hunters both seem to have really caught on to the idea of the game, and they seem to be more fixated on that at this point.
Okay.
You get the sense that they feel pretty confident that with the fact that you've told them the culture and the name of each of your companions, they feel pretty confident that they'll be able to hunt them down.
And I assume I'm not getting my weapons or anything back from this.
I don't know.
Inside would it tell me that?
They have not said anything about that.
That I would say that's an interesting proposal. One thing though, allow me to have my equipment back. The horn, my sword and armor. You can keep the gold. One of them in particular is there's a certain way where you can make it let's say what, torture the same you have me. If you guarantee I get my equipment back.
Give me a persuasion roll.
Crap. I'm gonna spend a point of hope on that. Because I really want my equipment.
Hofni squints at you a bit and turns to look at the Easterlings. One of the Easterlings shrugs. It would not be much of a hunt if it was not much of a fight. I cannot see any benefit to giving him the horn, but his sword he may have. Nothing more.
Well, of course. if I blew that horn, you would immediately know where we were. Now, wouldn't you?
Give me another persuasion roll.
I don't think I'm gonna spend hope on that. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need that later.
I have taken a fancy to the horn. You may have the sword. Nothing more. You are pushing your luck, my friend.
All right.
At this point, they open the front door. One of them cuts Hana free, and as soon as her hands are free, she just collapses to the ground. One of them takes your sword out of its sheath and tosses it out into the mud. And
Sophie's here.
yes, tosses it out into the mud. And hey, Soph.
Hello.
So he takes your sword and he stands at the door of the hut and he just tosses it way out and it vanishes into the marsh. And Hofni cuts your bonds free and he says,
That way's north. If you can make the journey, you'll find yourself back at Lake Town. Good luck.
we will give you a 6-hour head start. That should be more than enough for a famous monster hunter such as yourself.
Father gets the 6-hour head start and not much more. He goes over, picks Hana up. She is in no condition to travel, is she?
No, not at all.
I'm going to have to carry her.
I mean, she can walk, but she's pretty weak.
Okay, well. I help her out the door. Is my sword anywhere in sight?
You go about 20 yards in the direction that Hofni pointed, and you find it just sort of sticking in the mud.
I don't have my sheet neither. I pick up the sword and do I have any sense of where I'm at?
You have a couple of options. Hofni has told you which direction it is north. Based on the fact that he said north, if you go that way, you'll get to Esgaroth. You guess you're somewhere in the Long Marshes. You can spend 6 hours getting oriented, in which case I will tell you exactly where you are on the map. You can pick a random direction and start walking, or you can go in the direction that Hofni has told you. So, you have a 6-hour head start. How are you going to use it?
What time is it?
It's about the middle of the morning.
Middle of the morning. So, if I run... Okay, so north, east is to the right, west is to the left,
That's correct.
and south is behind me.
Mhm.
South would take me all the way down to Sunstead if I went that far.
But before that, you would get to the mountains of Mirkwood.
The mountains of Mirkwood. I definitely don't want to go there. If I go west, I'm going to run into a spider-infested area. They're almost expecting me to go north. How far is Esgaroth from the Elven King's Hall?
Few days.
Ooh.
2 or 3 days, maybe.
I'm gonna spend the. This might not be good. I'm gonna spend the 6 hours heading north
All right.
as fast as I can.
All right. Very good. Estreld. You were traveling either on a trading expedition, probably from the end of the Old Forest Road up or down the running river to Esgaroth. Unfortunately, it's either a trading expedition or you might have just been returning from some of your travels as a scholar in Wilderland. In any case, things have gone horribly wrong. Your boat hit some rocks, it capsized, and you found yourself stranded somewhere in the long marshes with really no clear sense of where you are at or how far it is to Esgaroth at this point. And that is the situation about the middle of the afternoon, almost early evening. You guys have both been in the Long Marshes as players many times, so you will remember that it is just an absolute maze. In the Long Marshes, the river running breaks up into 1,000 little eddies and currents. It's extremely difficult to pass even if you have a boat. If you don't have a boat, you are forced to try to pick out solid ground, hoping that you don't step into a bog and just be lost forever. Most of the time, you are sloshing through mud that is anywhere from knee to hip deep. It is extremely, extremely tiring. After about the third or fourth hour, Hana just stumbles forward right into the mud boulder. And as she kind of pushes up, she kind of... You should just leave me.
I am not leaving you. I did not go all the way into the mountains of Mirkwood to help slay the Dark Lady just to leave you here and die. Can I roll an athletics test to see how fast I'm actually traveling? Like, is there...
I mean, you're traveling as fast as you can.
Okay.
It is, without knowing exactly where you are in the woods, it is difficult to say how long it's going to take you. I mean, the Long Marshes are, 120 miles long or something. So you might be a few hours from Esgaroth. You might be several days. It is impossible to know. I am so sorry, Balder.
No.
I am so sorry for everything that you've been through on my account. And what my father did.
We can talk about this later.
I hear muttered things that Estreld might or might not mutter to herself when nobody is around listening and she's lost in the middle of nowhere with nobody else somehow.
Who is that? Have they caught us
Also,
already?
But
Like
anybody there?
hammering and something gets kicked and there's some clattering of wood.
Hey, who is that?
Who are you?
I pick Hana up and walk over. Oh my goodness. Thankfully, another human around here.
No kidding. And she stares at her boat, which has been capsized, and she
Your boat. You've lost your boat.
lost it.
It's
okay, well, she's building another boat
okay.
because she has wood rights. She
Okay.
is trying her very best.
All right.
How far along is she on this boat?
At this point, you see just like a few pieces of kind of a small raft that she is trying to connect. Without proper tools, even for a skilled woodwright, this is a pretty difficult undertaking.
We don't have
suddenly abruptly stops cursing now that she knows there's somebody actually around.
I don't have much time to explain. Here in, I guess, about 2 to 3 hours, we'll be hunted by 2 orcs and 2 easterlings, so it'd be best we get out of here.
You see Balder, this a barding in what was once probably pretty nice clothing, and then with him there's a very beautiful young woman, either a barding or from Lake Town, just by the looks of her, in a dirty, ragged dress. She is bleeding from several untreated wounds, and she just kind of staggers in and collapses into the mud as they enter the clearing, where you are currently trying to fit a raft together to float down one of these stagnant eddies.
Oh. Should we trap them?
Do either of us look like we're into trapping people?
Well, you don't look like you're in a good condition to run.
No, but
Should somebody see to her? She doesn't look like she's doing good. I'm not much of a doctor, but I'm Estrilled.
I'm Baldur. This is Hannah.
Hi.
Hi, good to meet you, Baldur. And she shakes his hand and.
You happen to know Ulfgar, the wine merchant?
Oh, yes. I've
This
heard
is
of her. Ah. I
Yes.
see. Well, I got this raft.
Hana looks at the raft rather doubtfully.
It's not. We don't have to use the raft.
Yes, we need to. How long? I just realized I actually have a 2-minute. How long would it take to actually try to tend to Hannah's wounds?
Take an hour or two if you want to try to bandage her up.
Right now.
If we could just to the river. Are we on the river now?
No, the river, when it gets into the long marshes, splits into like I said, 100 small eddies and streams.
Oh, I
So
see.
that's what makes it so tricky to navigate. Like, it's not where you can be like, oh, there's the river, I'll just follow the river.
Right. I got it. Okay. And it's midday.
At this point, it's more like early evening.
Well, so we know what the sun is, and we know we want to go north. So maybe we should just.
You cannot see the sun in the long marshes.
Okay.
This is Mirkwood.
Well, I thought maybe with all the riverness that's not being very river.
No. This is the long marshes. I mean, that's the whole problem, is that the trees and everything have, and the bogs. Like, think of you're in like the
Is
the
the
fi-
river flowing any particular way?
um.
I mean, the not river.
It is certainly flowing in particular ways. It's a little difficult. That can be misleading because there are eddies and backwaters. They don't all go the same direction. This one appears to be flowing away to your right, unless you stand facing a different direction.
Just head to Asgraf as fast as we can. As you can tell, I have no armor. Hana's in no condition to fight, and there's only one of you. If we run into all 4 of these guys at once, I don't know what to do.
All right. Well, I would love to get to Escalon. So let's point me in the right direction.
I point in the direction I was going, and we continue on.
All right. You point in the direction that you're pretty sure you were going. It has been several hours, and it's almost
Is there
impossible
anything-
to move in a straight line in the swamp. Um,
Is there anything that I can do to get oriented?
how long do you want to spend?
I mean, we kind of need to know where we're going. How long has it been since you left the Easterlings and the two orcs and like as we're walking?
3
Uh,
to
It's been like about 4 hours.
about 4 hours now.
What got you in that scrape anyway? I was
Let's,
traveling with some merchants and my boat capsized and
let's,
I'm not actually sure where the merchants are.
let's just say, I returned from a battle with the Dark Lady herself. Come to find
Doesn't ring a bell.
Dark Lady.
the Morrowind.
No, I knew one with red hair that was pretty scary, but not.
But yes,
Dark
we
Lady.
killed her too. The Red Queen.
I think maybe you're thinking of a different red-haired lady. She was not very easy to kill. She had a lot of orcs working for her, and I don't know, a lot of people. Probably not the same.
Did she go by the Red Queen?
Yeah, she. You
Yes.
killed her.
Well, not me exactly. My companion named Warsong sung her to death.
Huh. I never even knew that. So
Um,
then well, if you killed her, then I mean, I have a sword. You can use my sword.
well, he shows her his sword. I've got a sword too. I just have no armor.
I actually don't have a sword of courage. I got a spear.
I think this is a sword. This is a sword, right?
Actually, that's.
Wait, never
I've had a very long time.
Well, this explains a lot of things.
I've been using it wrong this whole time. Okay, so what is the role for getting oriented?
It would be it will take a number of explore successes to successfully figure out where you are. You can make an attempt every 6 hours to establish your bearings. It doesn't use the whole 6 hour period, but you can only make one attempt every 6 hours, and it does use up some of your time.
I think I would like to make an attempt.
Okay, give me an explore test.
I assume she's doing this as we're walking in the direction we seem.
Yeah, kind of climbing up trees, trying to get a bearing of where the sun is, those sorts of things. Well, you needed. Oh wait, was that actually Warsong or was that?
It's the correct
Okay.
thing, but
Well, you needed 3 successes, so.
there you go.
Estreld, you are 100% sure that you guys are headed due south right now.
Straight for the mountains of Mirkwood.
Well, due south would be like right down to the fork of the river. So, as for where you are on the map, you would guess that probably you're about, at this point, 4.5 or 5 days south of Esgaroth. Definitely moving in the wrong direction if you want to get back to Esgaroth, though.
Well, that changes plans entirely. I wonder if we.
Well.
How long is the Old Forest Road?
How far is it to the Old Forest Road?
Yes.
Probably maybe a week, maybe a little more.
So we're about halfway between the Old Forest Road and the and
Yeah,
Esgaroth.
but closer to Esgaroth.
Slightly closer to Esgaroth.
And way close to that's off.
About
So does
2
that mean
days.
we've been heading south this whole time?
It's hard to say since Estreld wasn't with you, but you're definitely heading south right now.
All right. That's true.
Yes.
You think we're about 4 or 5 days from Esgaroth. We head northeast. That would take us out of the marshes and into the. Is that part of the waste? That's right on the other side.
No, it's the lower Dalelands, but it's very difficult. Well, it's possible.
What's possible?
Um,
I'm thinking if we get to the Dale Lands, we'll be on more solid ground soon. Like, they might not even expect us to go that way. I know they mentioned something
Why?
about more
Why are they hunting you again?
for sport. Because apparently that's what orcs and stuff do.
They're hunting you for fun. They don't have anything better to do.
Yes, basically. I guess it's their form of torture.
Why were they? Was there a reason they were torturing you and now playing with you? Just
It comes to a point of who you're more willing to protect, your companions or the woman you love. I mean, you think if we can head northeast, you think that would get us on more solid ground?
well, we'd be in the land of the. It
We'd
would
be
still be the land of Dale. What's the terrain like over there? Like, there's no trees, but is it like hilly? Is it open? It looks like it would be harder to hide there.
if you can find a way to cross the river, it is definitely open plain.
So easier to track. You can come along the edge of the forest, but if they are hunting you for sport, then it seems like being in the open plains is
I guess that is true.
At this point, Hana kind of stumbles forward as her leg gives way under her. I don't think I can go any farther right now.
Can we look for a safe place to set up camp?
Yeah, give me an explore test.
What is your stealth at?
1.
Mine's is at 1 too. Do we have a fellowship phase now?
Fellowship pool, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, it is at 2.
Okay.
You find some firm ground. It's not particularly well hidden.
Well, how about here?
Guess if we have no other choice. And if we're setting up camp at this point, Baldur wants to end the Hana's wounds best he can.
All right.
Estreld will keep an eye around the camp and not tend to the wounds.
All right, you can give me an awareness test, and Baldur, you can give me a healing test.
Point of hope makes it a great success.
Yes.
Oh, man. I will spend a point of hope to make it a success.
Okay.
Are you fine with
It's
using
6.
one of our fellowship?
If you don't mind, then yes.
I'll use one of my hope.
All right.
I'm allowing myself one more point of my personal hope before I stop there, unless under absolute desperation.
Well, do you want to use a fellowship pool one for that? I mean, we can both use it.
I'll save it for later.
All right, and you're at 7 hope and 15 shadow. Is that correct?
Yes.
Cool.
What?
Yes, I got 3 points of shadow for betraying all my friends.
He betrayed all of his friends. Yeah, she has no idea. Like, what you said was not an answer to her question, and she's
That was out of character. That was out of character.
Do what?
That was out of
No, I
character.
think they were talking a minute ago. She was like, okay.
So, I am so sorry, Baldur. This. This is ultimately at the feet of my father, and I'm afraid I've never been anything but ill luck for you.
He kind of reaches out and kind of puts his right hand at the side of her face and look at her and say, "None of this is your fault. And despite all this, I still think you're one of the best things that's ever happened to me. You're more beautiful than any elf or human that has ever walked Middle Earth to me."
You're very kind to say so. I'm not sure I've ever done anything to deserve. Thank you, Baldur. All right. So you pass the night in what shelter you can. And when the next day comes, the question is, how are you guys going to proceed? You have 2 options. One is to progress by forcing the march. If you force the march, you will have to make a TN 14 athletics test. Every time you fail, you subtract from your current lead, so that eventually they'll catch up with you. If you roll an Eye of Sauron, it's like having 2 failures. If you move silently, is a TN 16 stealth test. Failures do not subtract from the lead. However, a failure with an eye immediately triggers a hazard as though it were a journey. So will you guys be trying to move silently or trying to move quickly?
I would think quickly.
Which direction are we going?
North. It's closer.
It's closer, but that's also, well,
If we
that
move,
might be where we came from. But I guess we don't really know where we came from.
no.
We just know that we were traveling south, so we're turning around and going north.
Yes. If we're about halfway,
It's Tolkien's birthday.
My really bad estimation would be right out there. We're about halfway. So I'm thinking going north is our best bet. If we try and go along the woods, we would eventually end up in the Elven King's Hall because that turns off northwest. But I'm afraid we run into spiders over there.
Okay. North is fine with me.
All right. What is your athletics at?
I have 1 in both of the skills.
Nice. All right.
Sophie brought her most useful character for this adventure.
I see that.
My what?
Your most useful character for this adventure.
Yep. Hey, she's really good at crafting. If you had made me roll for that boat, like, we might have a boat now. She's also super good at persuade. Also, she has terrible dreams. By the way, she has terrible dreams.
That's nice to know.
They're prophetic. They're prophetic, but they're always bad.
All right. So athletics it is, because I have a 2 in athletics.
All right.
Oh man, I am definitely spending fellowship. If that's fine with Soph.
Yep. I'm not.
So now, the successes get us further away.
Yes. Successes add to your lead. Failures subtract from your lead.
So we're a net gain of 1 if you spent for that.
Yes, I did. Give me.
And then I get a roll for Hana.
Yep.
Alright.
What did she get?
She got a pretty good roll. Darn it.
You're worrying me with all those dice rolls.
16.
So Hunter did pretty good on her.
She did.
I think it's-
She did decently, yeah.
So can I regain my 7 more points of endurance back? Or 5 plus 2, yeah, 7.
Yes.
How does Hana sing?
Still pretty weak. You would guess she was weary in game mechanics terms.
Alright, so how'd we do on our first round?
Well, you have no way of knowing how close the bad guys are, so it is hard to say.
Okay, well, that's our first round of rolls.
Shall I go again?
Yes, well, I mean, mine as well.
Alright, I need both of you to go ahead and give me a travel test at TN 18.
Oh, my goodness. I am subtracting all this coat of mail at this point.
You can't take it off and make yourself less fatigued.
That is correct.
Oh, I can't?
Nope, because you're
So,
still
I
tired
guess-
from having worn it before.
I guess he already had it off.
Yeah, you can take it off, that's fine.
Okay. You said 18?
18.
Well, I'm not going to worry about that. How much income?
Alright, you both gain 2 fatigue. And I need you to both also make a corruption test. Due to the effect of the night spent in the long marshes, which are now a blighted place.
Yeah.
Alright, you both gain a point of shadow.
I'm gonna spend a point of hope instead.
Okay. Alright. You press on during the first day of your journey through the snarl of streams and eddies, the maze of tree roots and bogs. Most of the time, like I said before, you are just sloshing through knee deep, sometimes thigh deep water and mud, but always pressing in a generally kind of a northward direction, taking no thought whatsoever for stealth, just trying to move as quickly as you possibly can. Hana is still pretty weak, but she seems to be doing better today than she was doing yesterday. But she many times collapses into the mud and has to be helped back up. But you do press forward once again until the passage of night makes it impossible, especially without a light source, to press any farther forward through the long marshes. At this point, there are huge black flies swarming around you, especially around Hana's wounds, as the makeshift bandages that you applied, Balder, have begun to be a little less fresh. And any attempt to build a fire or even light a torch just attracts the flies in swarms. I need everyone to go ahead and give me a second corruption test for the second night spent in the marsh.
Well, that one's better.
All right. Once again, will you guys be pressing forward with speed or with stealth?
With speed.
All right. Give me athletics test.
Well, there's one success. There's two successes.
All right. Hana is significantly slower today than she was yesterday.
She didn't do so well. So I gather that's two successes and one failure.
Depending on if she rolled an Eye of Sauron or not.
Yeah, she might have rolled an eye.
It's true. There's a few dice going on.
What is that?
All right. You press forward on the second full day of your journey through the swamp. At this point, the complete lack of food, as Estriel, most of your provisions were lost when your boat capsized. Unless you guys are stopping to take some time to gather, to try to forage for food or hunt. The lack of food is beginning to take its toll on all of you.
What do you have in hunting?
0.
I have 0 too.
All
Build
right.
a great boat. If I have tools.
You both press forward, but at this point, the lack of food, as your scanty provisions run out, is beginning to take its toll.
Would Robust help in any of this?
Robust would help you shake off the effects of the hunger a little bit longer.
Okay.
But once again, the day is just a single long, maddening press through the marsh, trying constantly to find your way, getting lost, finding your direction again. And you're not really clear, how far you've gone, how close the enemy might be. All of that is just impossible for you to tell. Either you're way ahead of them, or maybe they're just toying with you, waiting for you to exhaust yourselves, to run yourselves out before they close in around you like mad dogs. Who is the party scout? That'd probably be you, Estreld.
Probably.
Give me
Yeah.
another explore test.
For I have 0 in explore.
Hmm. I will spend and make that 15.
Okay. As you are pressing forward, you come to a place where there is a deep bog on either side, and a fairly narrow path of firm ground between the two halves of the bog, and you notice something about the way that the dead brush and leaves are laid down across the narrow path of solid ground is strange, suspicious even.
Can we not go that way?
If you want to just try to avoid it altogether, you can give me another explore test to see if you can find some other way around.
Goodness gracious! I'm not sure if she's made a single roll this whole time. I guess I'll spin for that too. Why not?
All right. It takes you, cost you a bit of time, but you are able to find another way. If you go about an hour or two out of your way east, you can find another crossing of the stream, and you're able to press forward again. All right. I need another corruption test for your third night in the Long Marshes.
Goodness.
Balder is hitting his stride.
I will take one of those successes.
All right.
Please don't jinx that.
Do what?
I told Richard not to jinx that.
All right. The next day, will you be pressing on with speed or with stealth?
With speed.
All right.
Oh, crap.
Eh.
I'm not going to be able to make that one.
Speed. Explore.
Athletics.
Athletics. That's right, I had 1.
Hana is not doing great. All right. So you all failed.
Yes.
8. What's the TN?
14.
I could make it if I spent. Oh wait, no. Explore. That's favored. Sorry. Never mind. Can't make it.
All right.
So yes, we all failed.
You press forward as hard as you can. At this point, you are, Estreld, you are now weary, just from the sheer, just the lack of food, and the non-stop marching and this chase through the long marshes that you've been on. You are robust, Balder, so you have another day before the weariness kicks in for you. But Hana is pretty much just having to be pulled along at this point.
You need to go hunting before you're weary. Which I guess it doesn't actually matter. We could both go hunting because weary doesn't affect the beat dice.
No, it doesn't.
And you both stumble into a makeshift campsite that you find as the sun sets again. By your guess, you're probably another day or maybe a day and a half from Esgaroth, if you can push on and make it.
What does the camp look like? It's been recently occupied?
Oh no, it's not. There's not an actual camp here. It's a firm bit of ground where you can be a little. There's no dry places in the Long Marshes, but you're able to be just a little bit drier.
Okay.
Okay.
Less wet.
Mm-hmm. I need another corruption test as you spend your 4th night in the Lung Marshes. PJ with all those great successes. All right.
Estreld with none of them.
You gain another point of shadow, Estreld. And PJ, as you are beginning to bed down for the night, I need you to give me an awareness roll.
Ooh, that
my.
was-
All right. Okay. Night falls. And Balder, you, gripping your longsword in hand, you stagger in a slow figure 8 pattern around the campsite, determined to keep watch until it's Estreld's turn. But the many days of travel, the weariness, the exhaustion, you don't know how long it took them. You would guess it's probably been 8 days since you ate anything at this point. Except for what little bit of Estrel's remaining rations you were able to share. And even your very robust frame, this journey has taken a toll. And before you realize what has happened, you find yourself on the ground, only to be startled by the howl of a wolf. And as you open your eyes, you find 4 huge, black-furred, yellow-eyed creatures surrounding the campsite. And one of them leaps forward at your throat. Alright, so...
Only 4?
Are you disappointed? You take
Well,
6
I think
points of
not.
damage, Balder, as just as you open your eyes, this huge... Oh, one of them is an orc, Sophie. As you open your eyes, this huge wolf tackles you, gripping you by the throat and shoulder. You take 6 points of damage as the wolves, snarling, close in around the camp. Because you did not have any advance notice, Estreld, one of them also attacks you. Let me put your token on here. What stance would you like to be in, Estreld?
You're not gonna let me choose my stance neither.
You can choose your stance after the surprise round is over.
Can I do rear with my bow, or do we not have enough?
You will not have enough people.
Then I guess. Let's see. She's got. I guess open.
All right. One of the wolves attacks you, Estreld. And you take 3 points of damage.
Yet
And then one of them also... What's that?
she only has a 2 in wit.
I don't know. Estrel, do you only have a 2 in wit?
I only have a 2 in wit.
Wow.
One of them also, you hear a scream from Hana as one of the wolves grabs her by the arm and starts to drag her away towards the edge of the swamp. And you hear the low grackle of Radmuz, the low chuckle of Radmuz, the warg master.
That's right, my pretties. Looks like we beat those 2 fancy hunters. It's time to feast.
And you can now choose your stances.
All right.
You are all seized, which means that you cannot change stances.
Okay.
So you choose your
So I choose
stances.
the stance I'm in.
Okay. Yep. Yep. You are all actually seized victimed. Well, hold on. I think these guys can seize a victim. Hold on. Before I say that, let me check. Yep. So Baldur, you're up.
All right. Well,
There's this wolf bearing down on you.
and
You cannot
I
change.
can't-
You cannot change stances, Baldur, because you are
even after the surprise round.
seized victimed. Seized victim means you cannot change stances, and your parry rating is halved.
Cool. I've got a parry of 1.
I am going to attack whatever wolf is holding me hostage.
All right.
Which one is that?
Top left.
Top left. That does 17 points of damage.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, you lash out with your longsword, cut it and just plunge the wolf, plunging the blade up into the wolf's sternum. You feel kind of a crunch as the bone gives way, and the huge animal goes limp on top of you. Estreld,
Which one is biting me?
top right
All
or
right.
top middle, as the case may be.
I'm going to use my spear upon him. He's
All right.
going to die to death.
Not with that roll.
Hana will flail with her empty hands at the wolf that is trying to pull her away, to no effect. One of the other wolves leaps at you, Baldur, hitting you for 6 points of damage, and you need to give me an armor test, which will just be a straight feat die roll.
What is the injuries? 14.
So you need a Gandalf.
Yeah, I need the Gandalf.
So, Baldur, you jam this blade up into this one wolf, and as the wolf goes limp, you shove it off of you and stand with the blade not really glinting because there's hardly any light here, but wet with the red blood of the beast you just killed. And as you turn around, you see 2 huge yellow luminous eyes hits you like a freight train, knocks you over, and before you can do anything else, you feel the wolf begin just tearing into your gut like it's Christmas dinner. You are just gashed open, bleeding internally, and you are wounded. This wolf is going to attack you, Estreld, for 3 points of damage, and this one is going to bite Hana again. Alright, so that's going to be 6 points of damage. And Hana needs to make a armor test.
Is her armor test the same as mine?
Oh yeah, she's got no armor. She does not make her armor test. You see Hana's being dragged away, and as this wolf just savages her, you hear her scream, and then the scream is just sharply cut off.
Right, let's keep going.
It is your turn, Baldur.
I guess I'm seized.
You are not seized.
Okay, well, I'm going into defensive stance.
Okay.
I guess I better mark that I'm wounded.
Yep.
And I plunge at whichever wolf is dragging Hana off.
All right, that'll be bottom left there. So ignoring the horrible wounds from the wolf that attacked you, you kind of kick it away and lunge at the one currently savaging Hana.
And it's bottom left.
Bottom left.
14. Can
TN 17.
Yes, I do know that. I'm gonna spend another point of hope.
All right.
Have you used the company one yet?
No, I'm trying to save that for our last athletics run.
Well, you might use it now, since you're both wounded. You might be dead for the last athletics run.
That's true. I'll go ahead and use it.
All right. 12 points of damage is enough to... you bring the sword down. You feel a crunch as it goes through the backbone of the wolf attacking Hana. Hana is limp on the ground. You don't know if she's alive or dead. But the wolf that was attacking her, his back is broken and he lies whimpering, feet twitching on the ground. Estreld, you're up.
I stab my wolf with my spear.
It's not very convincing.
I'm screaming like a girl. Probably.
All right,
Like
big
a
man.
librarian.
Time to see just what you're made of.
And
Just don't note I am defending Hana.
all right, you see the Radmos, the orc, the warg master, wades forward, catches a spear up, and thrusts it at you. However, missing. The other two wolves, one of them lunges at you, Hana, or Estreld. Hits you for 3 points of damage, and you need to give me an armor test against TN 14.
Alright.
Where are you at, health-wise?
The health isn't so awful. Hey! I succeeded on something! That's like the first time this whole...
Balder, the other remaining wolf, lunges at you.
Misses.
But so this wolf and this orc are now engaged with you. It is your turn, Estreld.
What is the orc's edge? Is it? Edge is 9.
I'm gonna try... I can't hit anything.
Estreld is just flailing around with her spear, completely disoriented by the darkness. It is quite possible she's not a warrior.
Nope.
Your turn, Balder.
I am going for the orc.
All right. That will be an Eye of Sauron. I believe that you are, in fact, miserable, are you not?
Does it count when you're in a...
I thought it did it.
I thought when you were...
We've
Oh,
always
it's
counted it
affected
before.
It doesn't affect the hunts.
Right, it doesn't affect the
Okay.
hunt.
Okay.
It's always triggered it before.
Well, I'm gonna spend another point of hope that at least hit him.
All right, so you're gonna hit with for 7 points of damage then.
Yes.
All right, and you have triggered a bout of madness, which is gonna come up at some point. The wolf lunges at you again, Estreld, just kind of running rings around you as you flail, trying to hit it. He hits you for another 6 points of damage, and I will need another armor test from you.
Great.
Meanwhile, the other wolf lunges at you, Balder, as you are distracted fighting his master. He hits you for 6 points of damage, and you are seized. Which means that your parry rating is now halved. So it is only a TN 14 to hit you. Estreld, you are wounded.
I will spend a point of hope for that.
You are not wounded.
Yeah.
Balder, the Radmos, the orc captain, lunges the spear at you. And he needs a
14.
14 to hit, so he just misses, but you are still seized. You're up, Estreld.
I'm gonna stab that stupid wolf with my.
The wolf is basically running around you, nipping at your heels at this point.
And I'm screaming in fear and frustration.
Is she seized?
She's...
Yes, I've been seized this whole time.
Balder, you're up.
Okay. I'll spend another point of hope.
How much hope are you at?
5.
All right.
14 points of damage so far.
But has his shadow cleared? Or does that not happen until he has his bout of madness?
It's you can go ahead and clear your shadow and add 2 points of permanent shadow.
Wow, that's...
Oh, because it was a double.
It is double bout.
Yes.
All right, Balder, I gotta look at something on your character sheet real quick.
1, 2, and 3.
Balder, as you raise the sword in your hands, you are filled with a red rage. And you can almost hear a faint whispering in the back of your mind. Blood. Blood.
No.
Give me blood.
Oh no.
Pure blood. Clean blood. And you lash out with a long sword. You feel the satisfying crunch of bone as it gives way to steel. The wet slopping of flesh and blood. And as your vision clears, you find your weapon is not in the orc, but in the still figure of Hana upon the ground. Estrel, the wolf, attacks you.
Yeah. I'm gonna
It's another 3 points of damage, and I need you to make an armor test.
kill that stupid wolf.
Balder, as you are still seized, the orc grins a bit, and he says,
That's how we do it. Welcome to the team.
and he drives his spear into you, missing you again by 1.
The armor has to be 14, and you add body.
Yes.
Okay, can't make it.
Okay, you are wounded. Balder, you take another 3 points of damage. And Estril, it is your turn.
I'm going to kill the thing.
You do not kill the thing. I don't know what else to say, Estril, except that you're just really bad at this.
I'm really super bad at this.
I'm going to spend another point of hope. That's up to 21 points of damage now.
How's that up to 21 points of damage?
7 times 3 is 21, so I've hit him 3 times.
Oh, you mean just total?
Total.
Well,
Total
except the last stroke didn't hit him; it hit Hana. So, all right, you plunge the sword angrily into the orc's side. You see black blood streaming down. He is staggering, barely on his feet. Estrald, the wolf, lunges at you again, trying to pull you down to the ground. You take another 6 points of damage.
Okay.
And Balder, the orc lunges at you one last time with a spear. You take 4 points of damage.
Where are you at?
I'm at 4.
Yeah, 4 now.
Yes.
This doesn't look good.
Make that 1. You're at 1 now. Estrald, it is your turn.
I'm going.
You could have happened to do some singing, could you? Songor
It's
inspired.
going to bite me. It will bite me. I could inspire. I will shout a string of profanities that would shame my mother, but they're very inspiring to my companions. Yeah. I will spend a point of hope, and it's favored, and that adds 9.
Nice. Okay, everyone regains, is it 2 endurance?
Yeah.
Balder, you are up.
What about swift strokes? Seems like a great time for. Okay.
Well, I'm spending another point of hope.
All right. You have a called shot coming your way.
Is that orc down? That's 12 points of damage that time.
Balder, you raise the sword. What is your current hope and shadow?
3 and 2.
3 hope, 2 shadow?
Yes.
You raise the sword and you hew the orc down in front of you. And his body falls, twitching and bleeding, right next to Hannes. As the 2 remaining wolves savagely lunge at both of you. That one misses you for a change, Estrald. Balder,
Finally.
this is a called shot. So ironically, it misses because
That's
it
it.
did not get a great success. So Estrald, you are up.
I'm going to stab that stupid wolf.
Now with those dice, you're not. Balder, it is your turn.
Oh my goodness.
You can't spend.
He can.
I can't spend it, make that. Because it's favored. I'll do 7 points of damage to it.
All right, so you're spending a point of hope.
Yes. I can spend 1 more hope.
So you are now miserable again.
Yep.
All right. The wolf yelps and staggers as you plunge the longsword into it. As you're now, your eyes are finally adjusting to the darkness. You're getting your bearings. Estrald, the wolf, who you still have not hit a single time, misses you again. While Balder, this one, although wounded, makes one last lunge at you, also missing as you half step, half stagger out of the way. Estrald, it is your turn.
Can I move now?
Stances?
Yes.
If you want to.
Okay.
You're up, Balder.
Wow!
You are angry.
All right, Balder. As you step out of the way, you just sort of catch the wolf with a backhanded stroke and it falls to the ground. Estrald, it is your turn.
Ah!
Well, the good news is you have a called shot coming your way.
Ah!
I guess you could spin to make that and kill that wolf.
Well, what is it to
It's
kill its body?
Yes, and it
And
was
what? And the
14.
TN's 14, so I'd need to.
You would need to be able to add 8.
No, I don't think it's favored.
All right.
So,
This is a call shot coming your way, Estrild. Sadly, it fails.
aha.
Uh,
Saved
Bal-
by the fact that it was a called shot.
Balder, you're up.
Son of a biscuit.
You missed it by 1, buddy.
The only point of
You
hope
have-
you can.
You have no hope.
And hit this stupid wolf.
All right, so you hit it for 12 points of damage, which is enough to finish it off. Balder, your blade is now gleaming red with the blood of orcs and wolves and the love of your life. But you stand bleeding, you and Estril both wounded, as the masters of the glade.
Okay, catch your breath is what? Body.
Basic
Heart.
body. Or, so yeah, sorry, basic heart, yes.
Baldur is crying over Hana's.
Can I check her? Like she's dead, super dead, right?
She is dead.
Okay.
Balder, now that your mind is cleared from the just like the surge of adrenaline, you are certain that it was the voice of the vampire you heard speaking to you just now. You alright, buddy?
Is she wearing that? Well, I guess she has no jewelry on now. does
No,
she?
anything she might have had when she was taken was plundered by her captors.
Well. Get her buried.
Is there anywhere we can bury her?
I mean, you're on fairly firm ground right now. This is probably the closest thing.
Okay. We'll do that.
You hear Baldur say, "Sorry, Hana. I failed not promise the wolf cry." I assume we move on to the next day.
Do you?
Well,
Do you want
do the
to?
other people find us? Like,
You guys are wounded. Do you want to treat the wounds, or are you going to leave them untreated?
let's treat the wounds.
Somebody give me a healing test.
What was?
Estreld?
Can he try to heal me?
That was, I assume,
That
him
was-
trying to heal you.
Oh, was it?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, I bandaged it up.
What, did you spend a point of hope?
Can I spend a point?
You have to make 6.
Oh. Well, sure. I'll spend a point of hope. Am I healing you?
It doesn't matter.
Are you wounded?
I am wounded.
All right. Well, I guess it would probably make sense for me to be working on you and you're working on me. So, there.
I'm no longer wounded. There's no way we can continue on in the middle of the night, is there?
No.
Well, I guess that's all we can really do.
Okay.
All right. You pass the remainder of the night in what watchfulness you can. And the next day I have to ask.
How much do we gain for like the night?
Basic heart +2. Will you be traveling quickly or silently?
Can we look for food?
You can. Give me a hunting test. You are weary as well now, Balder.
Alright. Well, let's continue on then.
Just a minute. Yeah, hunting is good, so. Yeah. Are you looking for food, Balder?
It's going to take the same amount of time either way, so there's no hurt in rolling for it.
Okay. I would have to make a Gandalf.
You did.
Balder! You are able to find some roots and berries, which look, although they don't look particularly tasty, they don't seem to be poisonous. And you are at least able to put a little food together, and you're still wounded, Balder. I'm not sure why it's not checked, but you're still wounded.
Well, Elstrad fixed my wound.
I thought that she did not, or did she spend a point of hope on
No,
it?
I spent a point of hope.
Oh,
So
okay.
he is not wounded.
Gotcha.
I am.
Gotcha.
He tries to doctor. Can you try to doctor me up again?
Can you try
Or
to
is that
doctor?
just-
He can today if you guys want to take some time. I also need a corruption test from both of you for spending your 4th night in the marshes. You both gain a point of shadow.
Well, I guess we can push on.
All right. With some berries, you are and some roots, you're at least able to stave off the gnawing hunger. So if you were weary from hunger, you're not weary anymore. If you would be normally weary because your endurance is low, then that stays the same.
All right. Athletic or yeah, athletics.
Yes.
Nope.
What'd you get, PJ?
Let's see.
I got 8.
Oh, your roll's not showing up yet.
I see it as 7.
There it is. There it is. Just came in.
I will spend and make that a success from Estril.
Okay. All right. I need you to give me another awareness test, Balder.
Nope.
All right. It's about the middle of the day. Maybe getting on to early afternoon, or late afternoon, early evening, rather. You are pressing forward as hard as you can. Balder, the searing hot memory of the night before has just seared your consciousness like an iron, and you're not really cognizant of anything going on around you other than the fact that you've got to push forward as quickly as you can. That is the only way that you're going to get revenge for what they did to Hana, for what they did to you. The only way that you're going to be able to warn your friends that there are hunters coming after them. The only way that you're going to be able to fix any of this is if you get out of here alive. And that is probably why you don't notice the faint rustling of the woods around you. it's not set up right. 1 second.
Are these Easterlings?
You didn't meet all of our friends from the hut earlier.
Oh yeah, I know. Just one of the four, right?
There were 2 Easterling hunters who are the ones who came up with the idea of hunting you guys for sport through the marshes. And then there was the orcish master of wargs, who was all for eating you and feeding you to his pets. You guys just fought him. And then there was Hofni the half-orc, who you guys have not yet encountered.
Yep.
Alright. Sorry, I thought I...
Has Baldur told anything, like, at all, as we've been walking?
Don't know, Baldur, have you?
Say what?
Have you talked to Estrild at all? Like, she was asking you questions earlier, and you were pretty cagey with your answers.
Well, not today. He's very quiet today.
All right, and before that,
He's still the same. He had one mission and he failed to do that.
well, I was meaning more before Hannah died, but
Well,
all right.
yeah, no, he's been really quiet this whole time. He's had one real focus.
Yep.
Alright. Here we go.
Do you want?
Did Estrild meet Angi?
No, she met Toad.
Yeah, I know she was with Toad, but it seemed like she was in the other adventure.
Baldur, an arrow comes winging out of the shadows of the trees and hits you. You take 9 points of damage, and I need you to give me an armor test. Estrild. An armor comes flying towards you. You also take 9 points of damage.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's only an 8.
8.
That is not gonna get a 14, buddy, unless you got something to spend.
No.
Okay. You were wounded again as the arrow sticks in your side.
Do you want to attempt to run? We combat.
Well, you can give me an athletics test to break away as the 2 Easterling brothers leap from ambush with axes raised.
Are we ready?
I see you survived Rudmus and his pets. Let us see how lucky you are today, my friend. And one of them lunges towards you with the axe. You're up, Baldur.
Are we running?
This is about the only way we're going to get out of. Well, unless we're just extremely lucky. And you're not, you haven't been good with your.
Nope. I can't. My bow is what she's got 2 in, and I can't use it.
You know,
So, all right. Estrild's gonna try to run.
All right, give me an athletics test. Nope. All right. These guys are closing in with axes raised. One of them brings his long-hafted axe to bear down on you, Baldur. Boy, that is a nice roll, and it is just 1 short. Is there anything I can do to fix that?
preferably not.
Nah, it doesn't look like there is. The other one, Estrild, swings at you with his axe. Hitting you for 5 points of damage. is your turn, Estrald.
Want to do one more attempt to break away?
We can. That's 5 points.
Hmm?
How much was it?
5 points of damage.
I can get hit one more time, probably. Maybe 2.
I'm the same way. One more hit will take me down.
Okay. Well.
I go for it.
Okay, give me an athletics test.
Nope.
That will not do it. Balder, you take 9 points of damage.
I'm down.
Does that make him dead down? If he's
Well,
0 and
he is
wounded?
wounded and at 0, which means he is dying. However, these guys have the no quarter ability. What does that mean? It means if the creature knocks out a character, it may attack again. On a great or extraordinary success, the target is killed outright.
Alright, so he is dead.
Well, either way, they are not taking prisoners. You don't have any parry, so I guess that would still miss. But yeah, you are unconscious, Balder. And the other one's going to swing at you, Estrald. You take another 5 points of damage.
Hey, I'm still up.
What are you doing, Estrald?
Running.
All right, give me an athletics test.
Are you taking me with you?
Probably not really.
I think I can.
I mean, you can try. Right now it's a TN 14. I would say if you want to try to carry him away, it'd be a TN 18.
Alright. I guess she's gonna try to carry him away.
All right. Estrald, you duck underneath the Easterling's next axe swing, raise up the broken body of Balder under your shoulder, and turn around, and with a ferocity which you did not know you were capable of, you begin to sprint off into the marshes.
And
As you do so-
part of me that's watching this and is kind of impressed
Yes,
for
yes.
a moment.
As you do so, you hear the drawing of bows behind you and the twanging of 2 bowstrings. That hits. And that hits.
So she's dead? I think she's dead.
Balder, Estrald, slain by the 2 Easterling hunters, you fall in the long marshes, less than a day from Esgaroth. And who can say whether any will ever know of your fate or come to avenge you. I am super sorry for the bummer session, especially for you, PJ. I know that you were super invested in Balder and in Hana, and Balder was a great character. Sometimes this is what happens to great characters, but you played him to the hilt, and I have mad respect for that.
Well, our ghosts shake hands.
So, PJ, you get to make a new character. You can also play your Thresh Guard from Dale if you want to. You still got that character that you have hanging out in the background, so.
I have that, or I also have little B.
You also have little B. So I'll let you decide. You can let me know.
I don't know if I would be in the right mood to play little B.
Well, maybe that's the healing that you need.
Man, Little B and Regalia.
Maybe getting to play the most damaged hobbit in the universe is the healing that you need. I am very sorry, sir. I mean, I it it's where it is. I mean, once he went off by himself and got captured, like it was always it always looked bad. There was a chance, and he almost got away. But
Pretty close.
but
If Estreld had actually made any of her roles, like in the
Yeah.
fights.
well, like Angi and Warsong in the last session, they were, I mean, just a hair's breadth away from both dying to like a random encounter. So it's always a close thing. So hopefully at some point the party will be look into what became of Balder, and perhaps avenge him. But either way, I'm sure you haven't seen the last of these Easterlings. All right, well, I'm gonna let you guys go. PJ,
All right.
get some rest, buddy. Let me know who you want to play, what you want to do, and we'll make it happen.
Any XP for tonight, do we?
Yeah, not really, because you're on account of being,
Dead.
yeah. But PJ, if you decide you want to do a different character and want to do a like start a new character, and you want to do a one-shot session to break them in, let me know and we'll arrange for that. And that might be a, I promise you don't have to start captured with the new ones. So
We could do a startup one with Regalia.
it's true.
Could there be any way we could write in? Because I've always wanted to try Man of Gondor, but I know that's like complete opposite of Middle Earth.
We can talk about it. My rule is only one non-local, one non-Wilderland person in the campaign at any time. So if you bring a Man of Gondor, that would mean not playing Little B. So
Okay.
So that's up to you. I'll let you decide. If you want to make it work, there are a couple of different ways that we can make it work. So
Okay.
I have ideas for it because it's something that I thought about before. So
Now if I play a man of Gondor and he ends up dying, I can't go back and play Little B.
you just couldn't play them at the same time. So if we had some Fireheart Mind stuff come up in the near future, and you had one character current, you couldn't juggle them back and forth. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Because the reason I have that rule is just to preserve, to make unique races really unique, but also to preserve the fact that this is a Wilderland campaign. Non-Wilderland characters are not going to have the same kind of vested interest in the things that are going on. So I always want to limit how much of that there is. So
Well, I'll think. I'll
yeah,
think about it.
Let me know what you want to do. I've got ideas for how a Gondor character could be worked into the next adventure. So
I don't. Not so much the Balder dying part. It was the bout of madness that hit. That was
Yeah.
that's like the worst. That's like the worst bout of madness I would believe.
I mean, it was a double bout of madness, and you knew you were riding right on the edge of that hope
Well,
shadow thing.
Well, I was already.
You were already miserable.
Yes, I was already miserable when this started.
Yep.
I knew that this was a go big or go home thing.
Yep.
I knew.
Yeah.
I also knew if I did happen to make it back, I could bump my wisdom up and take confidence.
Yep.
But I think the 3 points of shadow. The 3 points of shadow
That bumped you into double bout of madness territory.
So what was that was, how did he abandon companions?
I'll leave that up to PJ if he wants to tell you guys.
Well,
The recording will be up in a day or two, but
All right.
it ended up. It was either he's going to slowly kill Hana, or I tell him who killed the or I tell them who killed the Dark Lady. So
So all of us. Oh, you named all your companions so that
Yeah.
they can go after you. Oh. Wow.
yep. All right, guys. Good night. Sweet dreams, I guess.
Yep.
Thanks for sticking it through, PJ. Sometimes this is just how it goes. We've all been there. And you did well. You played it to the end. So well done. And as I said, Boulder, Estreld, Rest in
I thought about
peace.
invoking woeful foresight at some point, just in case. But then I was like, well, but the thing is, you don't need woeful foresight to know what.
to know that this is really bad.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, y'all.
I've got one more question.
Sure.
Okay.
Do wolves have when wolves run out of hate, do they flee?
They don't.
Okay.
They're not craven. Orcs usually are, at least the lower level orcs. And
Well, I highly doubt that was a lower level work.
yeah. So,
All right.
all right. Good night.
Good night.